That shit was mad loud, huh? What was that? The shit like the bag that you bring on a plane, it's gonna carry on. These boys dress up and think that they somebody. Shit is like Comic-Con. YGs are faster than praying. You lucky it's Ramadan. Otherwise, they will be posted outside like the Pentagon. You niggas be hitting in the net for some up you a tennis ball. Take 500K, not the then I never could learn shit from none of y'all. Whisper my name, but don't say it too loud because you gotta come here and you know I pop out. Hey, bro, that made my nigga Jay-Z get off the couch and start rapping. Y'all know I think highly of Jay-Z pen. Tell me that's been. Excuse me? Facebook, YouTube? Bro, my hair getting long as shit. Damn. Hey, number one, bro, it's hot as fuck out here in Texas, man. Oh, fuck me. Damn. Dropped it. Fuck. Ruined. Also, before we get started, this is the prototype. This is basically like a prototype of the Halloween slasher pack that will be coming soon. That's not checkers. As you can see, we got the Freddy in the Rook, and then we got the claws back here. Chestnut checker logo. So this is a sample. This one came out like bigger than what I was. Thank you. This one came out bigger than what I was initially planning. But it's serviceable. Uh, but it's serviceable. Yeah. So this is a prototype. Part one. Hold on, y'all. I'm texting my baby sister. Don't rush greatness. All right, so look, I'm gonna just be honest. Look, before we start this review of the show, I have to, I got to tell you my how I view Green Lantern. I think it's important to know that this review is goddamn. I don't like the way this shit look. Hold on, babe. Where my do rag at? Never mind. I see it. All right, that hurt. All right, first of all, I had a root canal today, and actually wasn't that bad. People told me it was gonna be bad. Maybe in the morning it's gonna hit me. But all right, so here is my relationship or understanding of the Green Lantern. I was never a fan. I I didn't give a shit about Green Lantern. Nothing about the Green Lantern looked cool, was cool, or anything to the sort. So I really had no desire to watch the show. Well, I mean, like Jon Stewart with the Justice League, they're Superman. My favorite characters, my favorite superhero. So my attention was on Superman the whole time. But with this show, I think they're finna make me a fan of not only the Green Lantern, but also the Green Lantern Corps. Like I understand what the Green Lantern is. Don't get me wrong, I understand the lore. It just wasn't interesting. But I think this show is about the if they lean more into the if they lean more into the damn, what was I finna say? Damn, I forgot. But so I just want to say that they did a good job on the first episode. They did a good job. That I like the premise. I like everything they're doing. I had little to no gripes about the show itself, other than the fact that Jon Stewart hooked up with that old ass lady. She had a cigarette in her mouth. Yuck. That sex scenes in TV shows now are starting to disgust me. Turn this shit off. Why you fake having sex? Why y'all think we like watching people having fake sex? That shit is not entertaining anymore. Don't just throw that in randomly in. I mean, I guess they had to thicken the plot, but I don't know. That's the type of shit that I don't like. It's not necessarily like the tone of the show, but why you throwing in like sex scenes, random sex scenes? I don't like it. But nonetheless, Hal Jordan's character, the way he's playing the character, I think is absolutely brilliant. I think the way that he's portraying this character, I'm already sad that he dies. Unless he turns out to be a scumbag, which I have a little theory before I get into it. I think he is gonna be some type of scumbag, or he's gonna do some scumbaggery shit. He may I don't know if in any of the comics maybe he turns bad or something. Like, I don't know. Again, like I said, I don't know Green Lantern story, but maybe there's some comic where he does like turn out to be a fuck nigga and they like drawing from that storyline. But I do like the whole I guess kind of small town vibes. But this does kind of remind me. Hold on, I'm sorry, this is bothering me, the way that this feels in the back of my head. But this does give me this the feel of, like, you know, I'll give you an example. If you've seen is this Jack Reacher or Reacher? It may just be either Jack Reacher or Reacher, the show on Amazon, season 2, like that type of small town. There's a sheriff, there's one judge, everybody knows each other type of vibe. I don't know if they should have maybe expanded that a little bit, because it's like the Green Lantern is here in this small ass town. Like, you don't have better stuff to do unless you're here trying to cover up something that you did, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you did something. I think he did something. You in this small ass town, I guess, well, there are aliens, so I guess, but I don't know. I guess it makes sense. I guess they're saying the aliens crashed the ship or flew the ship here because there's not a lot of people here. So naturally you would still go there. All right. Okay. That's decent. That's decent enough. But so, like, I'm on board. Like, I had very little gripes. I love the relationship that Hal and Jordan have, the way that it is, the guy who doesn't want to give up. It's like the guy who doesn't want the crown, but he also doesn't want to give it up. Normally those guys are the worst, right? Because it's like, bro, you can just get the fuck out the way. Like, you act like you hate this shit, but you also don't want to get off the pot. So, like, you got to pick, you know what I'm saying? Pick and choose. Those type of individuals in movies and TV shows, they're normally like the worst fucking people. Like, they get on your nerves real fast. Like, hey, bro, you got to pick a side. You cannot be sulking. You cannot be doing all this shit and think that you're going to be around us. You either in or you out. So, and I also think them, like, killing him or him being dead at the end of this show was their point to do that, and they nailed it, because I was not expecting him to be dead. And not only that, also, oh, wait a minute. Here's what I forgot to say though about the plot. Here's what I'm about to say about the plot. And I listen. I mean it. James Gunn. If we leave this season and John Stewart is not the Green Lantern with the ring, I will not be back for season 2. I will not be back for season 2. Do you understand? Give my nigga the ring and the suit in season 1. You might not get a season 2 the way shit looking. Well, it's too late now. But it's too late now because the show is done. I hope he gets his suit and his ring. Like we leave this season and he's already, or he's like just replacing Hal Jordan. But do not leave this season without him having the ring. I don't want to play this game of, oh, who has the ring and we gotta chase the ring down. Nope, I don't give a shit. No, nope, don't do that. And the only reason I'm saying that is because when Jon Stewart when he didn't have the ring on and neither did Hal Jordan, so it was like, well, where's the ring, bro? Don't do it. That's all I'm asking, bro. Do not do it. I won't be back for season 2, and nobody else will. I am tired. Like movie and TV shows, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like edging people. Like that's a graphic term, but I like it. So like edging us on to season 2, like House of the Dragon. Like they completely ruined that show for me. The way they built up that war, only for the whole season to be like, okay, now we going into war. And then you try to like make it up by saying, okay, the first episode the battle gonna be real big. I don't care no more. I don't give a shit anymore. Because that whole fucking season that you just made me watch was boring. Bullshit. Bitch. I don't know why I said that. But the point is, I hope he gets his ring or the ring by the end of the season, and we leave the season with him having the ring. I will not accept anything else. Like I will accept nothing less than that. If you give me anything other than that, kiss my ass. I'm not coming back. So moving on. That's the only thing. I love the back and forth with Hal Jordan and the alien, and he was like, "Oh shit, you're a fucking alien." Like that scene, that was some fire. Like that's one thing that I'm like most of the time. Sometimes I don't say most of the time. Sometimes when you get these um these superhero TV shows, the acting isn't is the show is really carried by the action. Let me say that right. The show is normally carried by the action and powers and all this other stuff. Like this was some good ass acting in this show for season. Like this, the relationship between Hal and the sheriff, and well, um, who else? He had beef with somebody else. But the way that like they went at it, all of that seemed organic. It seemed like they had history. Like all of that seemed like okay, like this is well done. Like so you wouldn't know that this is like a superhero show the way they kind of tone down the superhero-ness, which I enjoyed it. I enjoyed not having a bunch of superhero flying around, like CGI effects that kind of take you out of it. Like this felt like a true crime, kind of like a true crime episode with hints of supernatural, like an X-File episode, kind of like a very toned down X-Files episode. But I liked it. I liked it. So um let's watch this breakdown because again, I don't know a lot about the Green Lantern. So if there's stuff in here that they put that I didn't recognize, I want to put that in here. But just for my review of the show, like I said, I think it's great. I think it's gonna be great the rest of the series. I don't know if it's enough to like erase what Supergirl did in the minds of the general public. Like it's out there. Like it's out there. Like DC sucks. Like it's out there already. So I don't know if this is gonna change anything. I don't really think Clayface. Again, it could be like if they like make a banger out of it, which I kind of feel like I feel like it's some surprise fire going on with Clayface. I'm not completely sold, don't get me wrong. It could be hot garbage, but the way this first episode has turned out, I already have faith in Clayface. That's how good I think this episode was. I think this episode was good enough that says that Clayface will be good too. But again, that's just me, projecting. But anyway, let's just watch Eric Voss break this down. Go follow New Rockstars. I watch all the videos for shit that sometimes I be like catching shit and I want to go back and watch these videos to see like did they catch it too, or was I right about what I thought was an Easter egg or what I thought was a clue. I'd be wanting to see if they catch it too, or if they thought of it.
Lanterns, and I found every detail and clue that you missed. Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of DC Studios' Lanterns, Episode 1, written by 3 veteran TV writers and producers, Damon Lindelof of Lost, The Leftovers, and Watchmen, Chris Mundy of Ozark, and Tom King, the prolific DC Comics writer. As a team-up murder mystery shared between Hal Jordan and his successor, Jon Stewart, this cosmic story gradually unfolding in Rushville, Nebraska over several points in history has me fully seated and making me very nervous to wear this ring that I got at Comic-Con. So I'm gonna go through this episode scene by scene to break down this amazing pilot for the details you missed, the DC Easter eggs, and the fun little ways it sets up this whole world. Thank you for your patience on this breakdown, but really getting an extra day to make this video allowed me to fully decode all of the mysteries and clues. And one thing we like to do here at New Rockstars with our weekly episodic coverage of shows is separate out our theories that might accidentally spoil future plot points into a section at the end of the video to give viewers a chance to opt out. And for Lanterns, I'm gonna call that section "No Theory Shall Escape My Sight." The episode opens in 1996.
Don't love it, but keep going.
60 Minutes broadcast profiles Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, Kyle Chandler, watched by a young...
Also, I didn't pay attention to this at the first, but this was 1996. And then we saw him in 2016, right? That's 20 years, right? Ain't that 20 years? 1996 to 2016? Or is that 30 years? One of the two. And then we went to 2026. So it's all in that's another thing I want to bring up. The time, the storytelling. This is one of my favorite. Hold on. This is one of my favorite genres of media when a story is being told in two different time periods, and they're back and forth. They're back like they're even when I think I like it more when I know where and back and forth. Even when I don't know, even when you kind of like they spring it on you halfway through or at the end. Even those are fire, but I love when stories tell one story, two different time periods. That should be some gas. I don't know. That's just me. Like Loki season 2. Loki season 2 was some straight gas to me. Straight gas. I don't understand how people say. I don't understand what people didn't like about it, but. To each his own.
Jon Stewart. The host says 10 years ago, no one on Earth was aware we were already under the protection of someone calling himself Green Lantern. So right away with this opening exposition of the series, we're establishing a 10-year time increment. 1986, Hal Jordan inherits the ring from Abin Dur after Abin crashes near Rushville, Nebraska. 1996, Hal is profiled by 60 Minutes, publicly revealing himself to the world and to anyone else out there who might not like him. 2006, Hal backs up his consciousness or hologram in the ring to warn him if aliens ever return to Rushville. 2016, the main mystery of the series takes place in Rushville as mysterious aliens are in the town to score some kind of vengeance. And in 2026, that mystery has apparently gone unresolved and Hal shows up dead in Rushville with his ring missing, not on Jon's hand either. So why every 10 years exactly? Well, I have a theory at the end of this video. Lindelof, Mundy, and King pitched this show as Green Lanterns as a true detective story, a buddy cop mystery that unfolds over multiple eras of time. The veteran cop, rookie cop partnership here is between Hal Jordan, Kyle Chandler, and Jon Stewart, Aaron Pierre. Hal Jordan is arguably the best known version of Green Lantern from DC Comics over the full history, who bore the moniker throughout the Silver Age starting in 1959, technically the second Green Lantern after Alan Scott in the 40s. Writer John Broome and artist Gil Kane based Hal Jordan on Paul Newman and gave him a backstory as a pilot who inherits the power ring of the Green Lantern Corps, the Green Lantern Corps being an intergalactic agency of heroes with similar ring-based power sets of flight and manipulation of energy that can project shields, weapons, and other objects. The Corps was founded by the Guardians of the Universe and includes other past and current Lanterns like Nathan Fillion.
That's why he said Blue people. Or they said something about blue people, right? Did Hal Jordan say that? I think he did. He said something about blue people.
Was founded by the Guardians of the Universe and includes other past and current Lanterns like Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner from Superman and Peacemaker Season 2, and Thal Sinestro, who will be played in future episodes of this series by Ulrich Thompson. John Stewart was really the fourth Green Lantern in DC Comics, originally introduced in 1971 as a substitute for Guy Gardner when Guy was injured. John's original partnership with Hal in these early 70s comics specifically focused on how his race intersected with being a superhero, like this HBO series does touch on. John Stewart became known as the mainstream Green Lantern, at least to me, in 2001 when he stepped into the role in the Justice League animated series. But then in the New 52 comic relaunch in 2011, John Stewart was retconned as a Marine who had been watched by the Guardians since he was a child. And that's something that this HBO series kind of brings in as well. This DC Studios continuity establishes that John grew up as a 90s kid in a military family, idolizing Hal Jordan's Green Lantern during this 60 Minutes broadcast. The host mentions that Hal made himself known to the world by stopping a meteor from devastating Victoria Falls. This would have been an interesting save. If she just mentioned Victoria Falls here, I'm assuming she's referring to the stunning waterfall on the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe. And sure, while there might be tourists in that area, it's not exactly populated the way a small town would be. So this tells us that Hal, in addition to saving people, also wants to protect Earth's natural wonders from cosmic threats. Or maybe something else was actually happening at Victoria Falls that we're going to learn more about. Now, we see that the Stewart household has a satellite dish on the roof. This 1996 household is not a cable subscriber, but maybe getting their TV signals from space is how the Guardians first connect with a young John or his father, through a TV screen in their living room. We see a de-aged Kyle Chandler in his Green Lantern suit, and he explains how Hal is an Air Force veteran and a former test pilot. The host says that Hal is Earth's first Green Lantern, establishing that part of Hal's opening up to the public is to explain that he's part of a legacy of Lanterns, a full corps of intergalactic space cops. Like, this 60 Minutes host seems to already understand in 1996 that there is intelligent life off Earth. Now, it's still
Why does he keep looking at the camera like that? That's intentional, right? I'm assuming that's intentional. He keep looking at the
early
camera.
in James Gunn's DC universe, but in Superman in the Hall of Justice was a mural that detailed the past history of heroes in this world that includes some fantastical ones throughout the 20th century and even the 2 centuries before that. We learned that Hal Jordan's father was a test pilot who died in a plane crash when Hal was just 8. I was trying to do a bit of age math of how old seems to be at these different periods of time. This crash film footage is in color, and it happened when Hal was 8 years old, and he was certainly an established Air Force test pilot by the year 1986. So beep boop bop boop beep boop. I'm just gonna assume that this crash happened in 1966 to stick with the every 10 years logic. John is unafraid of his dad coming home and stays locked in on the TV just so he can hear the virtue that made the ring choose Hal was his answer to the question, are you afraid? I mean, what would be scarier to a son than a parent like this coming home when they're in violation of a rule that the parent established? But Hal says that every kid's worst fear is losing a parent. I mean, that might be some privilege speaking there, or at least a kind of warped privilege of a kid who lost a father young. For a lot of kids, there are far greater fears associated with their parents. In this case, John's father's rule wasn't so much about watching TV, but rather watching this particular 60-minute broadcast about the Green Lantern. This Marine did not want his sons idolizing this Air Force hotshot. I grew up as a Navy kid, so I can only speak to this so much, but there is a very real cultural divide when it comes to branches of the military. Specifically, a lot of branches look at the Air Force as thinking that they're better than everybody else. But John and his brothers know what punishment is coming. Seems like they have to go through this all the time, which is horrifying. John is the one who just has to grab the apple. At least it seems to be a Red Delicious. It would be a further crime to do this to an Envy Gala or Honeycrisp, but Red Deliciouses really do have it coming. John Sr. does this William Tell exercise and asks his son, are you afraid? And Junior doesn't flinch when John Sr. shoots the apple right off his head. If the boy did flinch, he could have died. I mean, I guess the expert sniper skills were ones that John Jr. inherited from his father. But there is something very weird about this moment because the dad hugs his son and offers to go get a burger. When I first saw this, I'm like, this is straight up abuse. It's not a normal thing in any military family. He's torturing his sons and psychologically programming them in a sadistic way that totally desensitizes John Jr. from feeling any fear. It's not a good thing that John is fearless as he steels himself to become worthy of the ring. Fear is an important evolutionary instinct that we need to survive. But I think that is the point. I think John Sr. is working with the Guardians to condition his son here, and we are meant to judge this moment. But now we transition to adult John Stewart in his boxing gym.
Well, when I watched it, I assumed that. Yep, I assumed that. See, I read this totally different. I read this scene totally different. I thought he was like training him. Like I didn't know that. I didn't take that as punishment. I thought he was like training him. I guess.
in 2016. Aaron Pierce showing off those guns that helped him get the job, along with his incredible acting and his green eyes. I mean, this actor's great. He was made for this role. On the windows of this gym, we see this is Coast City. Coast City is a California city that is Hal Jordan's hometown in the comics, in the vicinity of Edwards Air Force Base in the DC geography. John gets a phone alert to meet Hal, but by the looks of it, John had no reason to rush because Hal is late, rolling up playing Boogie Shoes by Casey and the Sunshine Band. Actually, later, further down the road, it'll be a different Casey and the Sunshine Band song. Hal owns up to being late, hinting to John to be more assertive in calling him out. Now, this shot of Coast City was actually filmed in Los Angeles. James Gunn and Peter Safran lobbied to get the tax credit.
Appreciate the like. Oh, I'm not calling you Charlie, but I don't want to say your government. I know how you feel about that, but thank you for the like. And you too, yeah, blue bosses, I think, babe. But I don't want to say your government. I know how you feel about that, but thank you for the like. And you too, yeah, blue bosses, I think, babe. But I don't want to say for the like. And you too, yeah, blue bosses, I think, babe. But I don't want to say for the like. And you too, yeah, blue bosses, I think, babe. But I don't want to say for the like. My bad, I didn't see your comments because I was okay. They didn't pop up here. Okay, my bad, I didn't see your comments because I was okay. They didn't pop up here. Okay, my bad, I didn't see your comments because I was okay. They didn't pop up here. Okay, my bad, I didn't see your comments because I was all right. So okay, back up. Okay, my bad, I didn't see your comments because I was all right. So okay, back up. Okay, my bad, I didn't see your comments. Bro, where's that? All right, so back up. Okay, my bad, I didn't see your comments. Bro, where's that? All right, so back up. Well, no, that's why I it was an echo from the I fixed it. I fixed it. Damn, I forgot what I was about to say about this. What did he say?
Now, this shot of Coast City was actually filmed in Los Angeles. James Gunn and Peter Safran, Sunshine Band, altered the iconic LA skyline and removed the US Bank building to make it look like a more generic Coast City in the DCU. Hal says that for the past 2 weeks he was on Farron 4 brokering a peace, and he's still hungover from the peace celebration the night before. To be clear, there is no Farron 4 that we know about so far in the DC continuity. We find out that Hal and John have been in training for 2 months at this point, so the Guardians must have chosen John to work with Hal quite recently in this year of 2016. Hal refers to the Guardians as the Big Blue Bosses. So the Guardians of the Universe, aka the Guardians of Oa, are the founders of the Green Lantern Corps, and they administer this Green Lantern Corps from another planet. We are going to meet at least one of the Guardians on this series, and we believe that to be Laura Linney's character, especially based off of the promo for the future episodes that HBO released. If the Green Lantern Ring is supposed to choose another based on the successor's willpower, why did the Guardians intervene here to choose a successor to Hal's ring and give him time to train? That's another question that this series will answer, that I'll address in the theory section at the end. Hal says that despite what the Guardians say, the ring chooses its successor when the ring feels the successor is ready and worthy, and he demonstrates this with this crazy maneuver to put this thing on the dashboard and rolls out of the car. And I love that Hal goes right from a smirk to diving out in what could be a deadly injury for him because he does not have the ring with him when he rolls out. Similar to John Sr.'s William Tell exercise, Hal doing this to John could have killed him. Hal has no way of knowing whether John's fear is going to take over or his willpower will, but thankfully for John, it's the latter. He grabs the ring and it lights up. Now, I think there was a clue earlier on in the scene if you were looking closely. As Hal tested John, asking whether he felt a little mad about him being late, whether his yes sirs were actually fuck yous, look at the reflection showing John's hands in the passenger side window. They are fidgeting. He's stifling himself from talking back to his superior because he respects the chain of command. Hal knows from John's hands that John isn't afraid of Hal. John wants to lash out at his superior, and he's really exercising great willpower to restrain himself. So the car crashes into the ravine, and if you look closely in that dust, you can see John in a little green burrito of bubble wrap. Afterwards, John does
I didn't even look. I was looking on the second. I watched this episode
to the past mentor who
I actually watched this episode twice. I watched it, with my wife, and I watched it by myself, and I didn't notice that either time. But also, I did want to make that note because this will be going up on the YouTube channel. Jordan couldn't be here today because she has to be in bed because she has work in the morning. She has work in the morning. Let's continue.
kind of did the same thing his father, John Sr., who now explains that Hal is just trying to put him on tilt.
They're allowed to have tantrums. We're not. So breathe in, button down, and bottle up.
I like this line because, yeah, black men like John and his father are expected to keep their cool and are judged way more harshly if they were to ever crash out, but their white superiors are given far more of a carte blanche if they ever freak out. The ring lights up suddenly, and out appears a digital backup of Hal's consciousness recorded in 2006, 10 years earlier.
Shit. Am I dead?
This episode foreshadows Hal's death in so many ways that it's actually kind of surprising that it took until the year 2026 for him to actually croak. This 2006 hologram says that lanterns are supposed to back themselves up weekly for posterity's sake in case something happens to them. But 2016 Hal never told John this basic thing. And I like how Kyle Chandler plays 2006 Hal to be less certain.
See, this is what I was explaining to my wife about how Jordan. I feel like he's something's off. He's given the superhero past his prime. He doesn't want to give up the mantle, but he also kind of like sulks in it at the same time. So it's like you playing both sides of the pendulum or whatever you want to call it, and I don't like that. I need you to lean into one or the other. Either you super into this shit or you super hate it and you ready to give it to the next person. But you can't be doing both. And if you are doing both, then I think when the Hal Jordan from 10 years ago, when he's saying like, oh shit, I haven't taught you how to fly. Oh shit, I haven't taught you about like the rules and shit. We've been doing this for 2 months and I ain't taught you none of that shit. This feels like he is intentionally not teaching him the stuff that he need to know. It's like sabotage to me. I feel like he's sabotaging it.
And more fidgety.
I haven't taught you how to fly yet, have I?
He's kind of like a super nervous Coach Eric Taylor. I love it. But yes, this tells us that there is a reason that Hal, since the year 2006, has not continued to back himself up. That during this time, as he started to get grayer and crabbier and less trusting, but still just as charming, the only thing he considered this backup to be useful for was to warn him about the hail in Rushville. This is the message that the 2006 hologram gives John to give to his present self.
There's hail in Rushville, Nebraska.
So that tells us that as far back as 2006, there's a specific Rushville-related mystery that John knows is going to be recurring in this town that he's going to need to set this reminder for. At the taco stand, Hal is mobbed by fans wanting to take selfies, including a mom who misses Hal wearing the suit. Hal says that he still wears it on special occasions, but when the cook asks him, Hal compares the suit to wearing a tie when you're young and eager to prove yourself at your job, but as you get older and wiser, you realize that kind of dress up is a pain in the ass. I mean, who knows?
Now, I didn't understand it. Why would you just come up and be like, hey man, why don't you wear the suit? Why not ask for an autograph? Why not? Well, the rules change. You know how old people be set in their ways. They don't like change. That's also a good point. Because he was like, hey bro, we ain't used to do it like this. We didn't used to do it like, and I think we're going to see that in the beginning. Like when they first meet each other, I think that when they show you like a preview of what's going to happen in the future of the series, they kind of have this part where he says the only way you getting this is over my dead fucking body or some shit like that. That feels like that was in the beginning. Like he was not with that shit. It feel like he just showed up and was like, hey yo, I'm gonna be taking over the Green Lantern after you, so you gotta train me. And he was like, man, I'm not training nobody. This ain't how we used to do it. Yeah, he sound like one of them. He that old person at the job that don't want to train nobody. No, Billy Bob, no, you gotta train something. You been here the longest. No, Stanley. No, teach that man.
Maybe there's some other reason Hal isn't that crazy about the whole iconography of the Green Lantern Corps and doesn't want to wear this space cop uniform. The whole idea of space cops disguising themselves in plain clothes and wearing masks was a theme that Damon Lindelof explored in HBO's Watchmen, and I think there's a similar theme running through this. John drops a message that 2006 hologram shared, and suddenly we see Hal look more serious than we have seen him yet. Even hearing that his hologram even popped out at all changes his demeanor. So when he hears the hail in Rushville message, he immediately jets off, breaking the sound barrier. Meanwhile, I love this montage of Jon Stewart being left behind to fly commercial, probably on his own dime, and wait for a Hertz rental.
My question is, what did he have that triggered the hologram? Because the hologram isn't alive. So how did the hologram know that this was going on? That we need to find out.
Car to drive out to rural Nebraska to catch up. For the town of Rushville, production shot in Piru, California, up in the Santa Clara Valley, north of Los Angeles. Let this be a lesson to every film and television production. The reason Hollywood is headquartered here is because Southern California can be made to look like anything in the world. That goes for you, Marvel Studios. Stop shooting all your shit in the UK and in Spain. And I like how for many towns in the Plain States, the brightest lights on a Friday night would be from the local high school football field. We're long accustomed to seeing Kyle Chandler in settings like this from his time on Friday Night Lights. The local cop who greets John Lopez has a Sheridan County Sheriff Department patch. Sheridan County is in northwestern Nebraska, bordering South Dakota. Hal sits in the same exact spot on the bleachers, 8 rows down from the top, right along the aisle, where his corpse will be seated in the snow 10 years after this. Kelly McDonald plays Sheriff Carrie Kane. Her last name perhaps a reference to Bob Kane, we'll see. She tells Hal that his jurisdiction only covers extraterrestrial events, but he insists that the victims must be aliens, observing that for a mass shooting, there are...
Well, he asked, was he dead? But I don't think he knew he was dead. Or I don't think he thought he was dead. He asked like, oh shit, am I dead? So there had to be something that the ring sensed, which told the hologram to come out, right? Something had to alert it. Because how else, like again, you know, even if he thought that, you know, Hal Jordan had died, then why would he be saying like, oh, I got a message to tell myself, like, go find me? It seemed like something happened, like, or he knows something's fixing to happen, or I don't know, maybe it was a reminder that whatever he solved the first time he was there, something told him, hey, 10 years from now, this gonna happen again, or however many years from now it's gonna happen again. And it was like a reminder because he probably didn't want to get like he didn't want to back shit up, or I don't know if it get lost or whatever. I don't know how Green Lantern keep their files. I don't know if they got a retention lifestyle, but a retention like age where they just like delete all the old shit. But maybe he didn't want to like just clutter his shit up. So he was like, hey, in 10 years, this gonna come back up. Remind me. And like that was his way of reminding him. I guess like the ring had an alarm clock.
Are no crying friends or family standing near the victims' bodies, which is right. That is weird for this crime scene. So that kind of explains the reason Hal was okay with John flying commercial was because Hal knew that he would have to wait like 6 or so hours anyway to give enough time for any possible grieving loved ones any towns over to arrive to the scene. And since no one did arrive to grieve or ID these bodies in a small town like this, Hal knows that something is up and can now move on it now that his backup is now here. John uses his powers of deduction to piece together that the home team scored the game-winning field goal based on the score still on the scoreboard and the kicking block still on the field and the broken fence meaning fans rushed the field. And in that chaos were some visiting fans, some of them carrying weapons that led to those visitors dying. I recently heard an ice cream truck drive by my house and it just
Bro, why did that
rocketed
shit
me
get mad
back
low?
to being a kid again. I have such an
'cause it's an
immediate
ad.
nostalgia for a simpler time when my main our channel and lets us keep making videos like the one we'll get back to on the fence was actually done by one of the outsiders present to use his chaos to kill the other side trying to kill them. Notice that we do see this man in the dark hat behind the kids when the fence goes down. Not sure if he's one of the aliens in the Kimball sweatshirt or what those aliens are trying to kill to get vengeance for, but I think he's the one who started the push. John sees a discarded Kimball sweatshirt, meaning one of the aliens who didn't get killed is still here on site, meaning that the whole rule of the loved ones grieving the victims would still be lingering there. And this dude in the short sleeve shirt, when all the other people on site are wearing jackets and outerwear, does make him stand out. Later, this guy, his name Waylon, will say that Earth smells salty, and I wonder if his body just has different temperature adjusters. Sheriff Carey says that she also clocked this awkward short sleeve redneck and just didn't want to spook him so that he wouldn't shoot up the field like all of his dead friends. So in case there was any confusion here, the people in the Kimball sweatshirts were these visiting aliens hell-bent on vengeance of some kind, as Waylon the alien later confesses to, but were somehow identified before they could get it and shot dead when the fans rushed the field. This suspect runs for it and John sprints out.
What now? So the aliens were, I guess they got gunned down. They started popping off, and then they got
Shirts
shot.
were. She also clocked this awkward short-sleeved redneck and just didn't want to spook him so that he wouldn't shoot up the field like all of his dead friends. So, in case there was any confusion here, the people in the Kimball sweatshirts were these visiting aliens hell-bent on vengeance of some kind, as Waylon the alien later confesses to, but were somehow identified before they could get it and shot dead when the fans rushed the field. This suspect runs for it, and John sprints after him. This reminds me of the opening act of Men in Black, where Agent J has to chase down the alien suspect in a foot chase when the alien is disguised as a human. The suspect runs right into John's fist, and when Carrie refuses to allow Hal to interrogate, Hal's first instinct is to hit up the local bar, to use the ring to manifest a $20 bill and basically do the John Mulaney What's New Pussycat Salt and Pepper Diner prank, but with Melanie's 1971 Brand New Key, the music that we hear over the Valley nightclub at the top of Boogie Nights. Yeah, Hal Jordan really seems to have an affinity for 70s music from the disco era. Hal punches in 143 at least 3 times. As I decoded in yesterday's Vision Quest video, that is an old school text code for I love you. And I love that the whole time Hal and John talk at the bar, Zoe is sitting right behind John out of focus. Like, we don't notice her at the beginning of the scene because we haven't met her character yet, but she is totally sitting there just in the background of the shot, listening to the entire conversation. Yep. John demands to know how Hal got his.
See, that I didn't pay attention to the first time, like you said. I wasn't looking for it, but when I watched it with my wife later on today, that's the first thing that like stood out to me while they was talking. I was like, man, look at this bitch behind them.
Ring, saying that maybe he should have had to interview for it. Another line that points out the privilege disparity between these two men. John has had to jump through all of these hoops to prove himself, work twice as hard, whereas for Hal, it just kind of fell in his lap. Hal acknowledges this, that he is the benefit of some kind of privilege here, and he senses that John thinks that Hal's ring origins connects to the extraterrestrial mystery that they're in Nebraska to investigate, and decides, hey, okay, maybe I do need someone to help me with this. And he says that when he was just a few years into being a test pilot, one night when he was drunk, his whole room vibrated, and he found himself in a green bubble, and he felt a voice come from within him asking, are you afraid? And on this, we cut again to John with Zoe in the background. She's getting a full account of Hal Jordan's origin story. Remember that. Hal said that when he said no, he's not afraid, he was zipped hundreds of miles in a few seconds and dropped to a site in nearby Rushville, where the alien pilot had crash landed, pink and bald, coughing up blood. But when Hal put on the ring, he could fully understand the alien's language, and the alien introduced himself as Abin Sur and said that he was responsible for protecting the peace and sovereignty of Sector 2814, and said 2 more words that were either good luck or aw fuck. I kind of have a feeling that this is more than a joke, and we're gonna find out that those 2 words actually meant something else. Now, in the comics, while the very first Green Lantern in publishing history was Alan Scott, the Green Lantern of the Golden Age, that version of the character really predates the whole Green Lantern Corps that's now considered the canonical backstory for the Hal Jordan era and all successive Green Lanterns since. Abin Sur is considered the predecessor of Hal Jordan in the comics. He's an Ungaren species that came to patrol Sector 2814 since the 1860s. Kind of seems like they really did want to get the Sector 2814 detail accurate for this show. Hal says that Earth is way off grid for the Guardians, a galactic backwater, and did not intend on any lantern coming anywhere near Earth and never would have wanted a lantern ring going to a human. So from that, Hal has always assumed that Abin Sur's crash in Nebraska wasn't an accident, but was really part of an extraterrestrial conflict that would eventually come home to roost in this exact spot. Now, as John Mulaney explains in his What's New Pussycat bit, the second time the song plays, everyone assumes the song is just longer than they remembered it being. But the third time it plays, and every odd numbered time, is when everyone gets on to you and people start losing their minds. So Hal is doing this to intentionally start a bar fight so that he can get incarcerated and talk to the suspect. And he leaves his ring on the bar top to avoid him accidentally activating it and killing these guys when they fight. I like how earlier he had ordered 3 cocktails from the bar, and now he downs a second, and then when he gets a look at the size of the good old boys, he downs a third. Like, he ordered 3 drinks not knowing who was going to start a fight with him, and now that he sees it's the biggest guys playing pool in the corner of the bar, he realizes, I'm going to need that 3rd drink. But only when Hal gets up to start the fight does the scene now focus on the eavesdropper who has been hearing this whole conversation, Zoe, who gets John to further blab that he's Hal's space cop trainee and that they have bosses and that they're only supposed to have 1 lantern on Earth. The fact that Zoe is this deceptive, I don't trust her reaction to anything he's saying. I think she knows the answers to a lot of these questions she's asking. But meanwhile, I like how Hal Jordan had only put in 3 entries of Brand New Key, and after the 3rd time we hear it, the jukebox just changes to Leon Bridges coming home.
She's definitely part of the plot. There's a plot afoot. She's a part of it, and I hope she gets her ass completely like demolished, and not in a good way.
So Hal didn't even go as far as John Mulaney did with What's New Pussycat. He just did 3 back to back to back, which is just enough to start a fight with these good old boys. Zoe lures John to her truck and they hook up. She's definitely not wearing a wedding ring here. And even she called attention to the whole idea of wedding rings by joking that Hal's ring was like a proposal, so that John would probably look directly at her hand to see if she was wearing a ring. Like if you're a single guy in a bar and you see a woman of a certain age, one of the first areas.
Yo, she was playing chess, not checkers. Yo, hey.
Areas you're gonna look is at her hand. Here Zoe says,
"You gotta give me a lecture."
I'm gonna give you a line.
I honestly wonder if they designed the lantern ring this way so that it's the same size of a car cigarette lighter. It's awesome. I like how this show also doesn't allow Hal's dumb plan to work out because he just gets put in the broom closet later. It's a sign of good writing when characters' half-baked plans don't really work right away to get them into deeper trouble that they have to get out of with either a different kind of ingenuity or relationship building, as this pilot episode does. But in this scene, if you listen closely, when John walks in, Sheriff Carey says this on the phone.
"Tell Barb I said hey."
Could this be a reference to the DCU Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl? And could that mean Carrie is on the phone with Commissioner Jim Gordon? Or someone else at the GCPD who's a mutual friend of Detective Barbara Gordon? Hey, when we did HBO's Lanterns experience at Comic-Con, I definitely saw a Gotham Gazette on the wall of Sheriff Carey's office, meaning she is keeping tabs on the criminal activity in Gotham City. Judge Janet Sloan pushes Hal during his arraignment to name what law enforcement agency he represents. Jason Ritter enters the courtroom playing Billy Macon, an attorney for the wealthy local Macon family and Carrie's husband, but she doesn't look very happy and seems to be pressured into this marriage. They later refer to some debt that she owes the family. Even though the judge doubles the bail from $100K to $200K based on Hal's cheekiness, Billy hardly blinks and offers to have his very rich family pay for it and cut a check by lunch. They are that liquid? I mean, they could have the whole town bought and sold if they wanted. I think they have a very, very wealthy backer that I'm gonna get to later. The Macon family ranch has a gate marked with the phrase, "Study the past." What a bunch of fucking nerds. I'm just kidding. These guys are clearly a Dutton family cult of armed militiamen running tactical drills and target shooting. Study the past is certainly a clue to the Macon family's true purpose here in the Rushville area. As Will Macon will later explain, he is a student of history and colonization is all.
So, what have I seen him in? Let me see. Justified. Justified. That's where I know him from. Goated show, by the way.
Always the direction things go when civilizations clash. John and Hal meet Carrie and Billy's son Noah. He gets mentioned in the final scene in 2026, so I assume we're gonna get to know him as a young adult in the future timeline. Hal offers Carrie a beer and she says,
"God, yes."
sounds like having to spend time with the Macon family is kind of torture for her. And he uses his ring to conjure a bottle opener and seems so smug with himself with this parlor trick, but he also seems to be on to Carrie and her complex relationship with the Macons.
Sounds like a woman in debt.
They meet Will Macon Sr., played by Garrett Dillahunt. Despite ordering tofu steaks for John, Will still uses a meat cleaver to chop up these bloody ribs right in front of him. He clearly got his hands yucky so that he wouldn't have to shake the hand of the guy banging his wife, and chops threateningly to make a point. Now, I have to rant here, not to tell a man how to barbecue his own meat, but I have some questions about Will's grilling technique. I thought he was chopping already cooked ribs, but the red juice on his hands is myoglobin from raw meat, and we see him at the grill after this, clearly grilling some of that meat, which means that Will was chopping his ribs before cooking them. You don't grill ribs individually. You smoke the whole rack together, wrapped up, and you don't wait for your guests to arrive to start cooking. You slow cook them for hours before they get there. Now, I thought
That's
Will
true.
was just grilling the tofu steaks last, but no, you see those red ribs right next to Hal on the table, and Will takes both grills and corn on the cob off the grill, which means that Will served them shitty, tough, overcooked ribs. I know I overthink this, but that's what I am put on YouTube to do. Will explains that they're not some Waco compound prepping for war against the feds. They're forming a militia for all of Earth against alien colonizers, specifically right here in Rushville. Hal claims that the
That colonizer shit, kind of pissed me off. Coming from a white man. White people have an issue with trying to stop something from happening to them. He's eating people because he's an alien. That man is not an alien. They have an issue with trying to stop something from happening to them that has been done unto others. Like, you speaking from a point of is if you've been through this before. Colonization is bad or whatever he said. It's like, yeah, but you're not the one to say that. The people that it's happened to should be the one giving this speech. Why are you so paranoid? You know what I'm saying? Like, you trying to stop something from happening before it happens? Yes, you're crazy.
Galaxy he's seen is
You're
mostly
only
peaceful,
crazy right
but
now.
Will
When
says,
it does happen in the
Well,
future,
what do they
then you
need
can-
space cops for?
Yeah,
then you
he's
can,
right. There is more going on in space than Hal is letting on. But yeah, what we're hearing from Will are kind of the nativist fears that years from now will make the public so reactionary when Lex Luthor publicizes his translation of the Kryptonian message of Jor-El in 2025 Superman, where Superman's father encouraged his son to rule Earth like a fascist overlord. Will's mission with his militia is to protect Earth from being colonized, and he says that he represents some powerful organization, not the government, but some other organization, and he says that he can't talk about them because he's under an NDA, some organization that specifically funds his army. So who in the known DCU has a lot of money and hates the idea of alien colonization? Well, I have a thought for the theory section. John sees Noah working on his throw, and as an expert Marine sniper who grew up learning from his dad how important perfect aim is, tells the kid that instead of intentionally aiming, to just imagine the ball going through the tire. Yes, the creative power of imagination.
Now, this was in my notes. I hate when movies and TV shows do that. Like, they have this task and they say some old random shit like, you have to be the ball. You have to feel the wind. Just imagine what the fuck happened to technique. What about that? What about grip the laces? What about keep your elbows in? What about have your elbow at a right angle? What the fuck does imagine mean? Imagine what? What the fuck just imagine and it'll work out. I mean, again, this is it's like a what's the word I'm looking for? A pet peeve of mine. Like, stop doing that. Stop saying that. That's dumb as hell. Talking about imagine. Imagine I slapped the shit out of you. How about that? Stupid.
Imagination is really what unlocks the Lantern's abilities. Little detail here, they hid a CGI football. When the kid throws a football, it's a CGI ball going through the tire. When the camera dollies right behind John, they hide a practical football behind him in frame for Noah to go pick up. It's smooth and it works and doesn't require this kid to have to throw a football through a tire. Before John can tell little Noah about the horrific abuse of his dad putting red...
I'm gonna be honest with you. When I watched that the first time, bullshit you not, I didn't think he threw it through the hoop. That was very shitty CGI. I didn't think that ball went through the hoop through the tire when I seen it the first time.
Delicious is out of their misery on his head. John learns that the woman he hooked up with the night before was Zoe Macon, Will's wife and grandmother.
Also, no disrespect, but they got my boy hitting that. James Gunn. Stop fucking playing. She had a cigarette in her mouth. On her first night, this is all that this young black brother with a full hairline. He don't need no black spray or none of that. Nigga got pretty Ricky eyes. He light skinned, caramel-ish, whatever. That's what y'all gave him? Stop playing, bro. This is why people mad at y'all. This is why they hope y'all fail. Stop doing stuff like this. Go get the Scarlett Johanssons. I don't understand. Like,
to Noah. After dinner, Will gives Hal a to-go bag.
Well, we drank all your beer, but put together some leftovers for you.
Much obliged.
Yeah, even Hal sounds annoyed to have to eat these shitty ribs. Will indicates that he pulled strings to let Hal interrogate the suspect and tells John,
Nothing better than eating off another man's grill.
yeah, the fact that Will knows is interesting.
Pause. That was some weird ass shit, right? It always tastes better when you eating off another man's grill. Like, what, bro? Pause. And did y'all just fuck before that? Cause that's what I got. Like, the nigga said it always tastes better eating off another man's grill. What? Are you implying that the sex was good because she's married? Buddy, that's not how pussy works. That's not how pussy works. Him saying that it's better when you eating off another man's grill, buddy, that's not how pussy works. The pussy's either good or it ain't. And I know it wasn't. Again, she had a cigarette in her mouth.
Interesting. I'm assuming, kind of like Dutton in Yellowstone, he's got operatives all over town keeping an eye on his wife's movements, but also maybe he and his wife just have an open marriage. And maybe he even endorsed his wife getting closer to John because this Macon family might just be working every angle to get closer to these two lanterns. We got more on what's really going on in this dynamic in the theory section. Carrie explains that the suspect is Waylon Sanders, who's been working as a commercial truck driver for 5 years, and that x-rays showed nothing unusual about his anatomy, but John says that they know of 14 species that have the ability to impersonate humans so that MRIs, x-rays, and blood work cannot tell the difference.
That's another thing I like right there. Like him saying like, hey, yo, how many, like, it shows that he's been teaching them something, right? It ain't like what I was saying earlier when I was like, yo, he ain't trying to teach them nothing. But this part right here does show that he's been teaching them something. So I did like that. And also the female sheriff, I just want to say, or the woman sheriff, you know, when they do these type of shows where they have like the small town sheriff and they make her a woman, I'm specifically talking about the true crime. I forgot the one that was in Alaska with Jodie Foster. I think that was her name. Like those characters are always the most interesting to me because they kind of can go one or two ways. They can be the one that falls in love with the protagonist, like, you know what I'm saying? Like they could be the ones that fuck on the first night, or they could take this role where she like, don't take no shit from them. You're gonna do what I say. This still my show. You know, I still run this shit. Like Jodie Foster in that true crime, like that shit's all fire. Like I like her. She's not an annoying sheriff. She didn't get in the way too much. Like sometimes they have those sheriffs that like get in the way and they try to stop you from doing it. And it's like, bro, I'm trying to save everybody's life. You making it hard. So I like they didn't like play with that too much. Now she may get that way in the future, but for this episode, at least she wasn't.
Difference. Throughout the scene, John is sketching the suspect's face. This first episode doesn't really get into it, but John has been described by preseason press as an architect by trade, which is part of how we're going to see him do some really interesting Green Lantern conjuring. John tells Carrie,
You know, we're all aliens. Just depends which planet you're standing on.
yeah, this whole idea of who's the colonizer, who's the alien, it's going to be an interesting theme that this series explores. Hal tells Waylon,
Imagine you just want to phone home up. Get home, my
Phone home,
Yes, sir.
phone home is a
that was an
fire.
early test by Hal. He made a reference to E.T., the extraterrestrial, and Waylon didn't pick up on it at all. Yeah, this whole scene is an amazing alien Turing test.
That is some gas. He didn't say anything. That was a first test. That's why he asked him about Harry Potter later. Like, oh, bro, you didn't even catch that. You're definitely an alien. That's some gas. That's some gas. I love it. I'm in. Keep doing that. Damn. That hurt.
See him do some really interesting Green Lantern conjuring. John tells
That was some
Carrie,
gas.
You know, we're all aliens. Just depends which planet you're standing on.
yeah, this whole idea of who's the colonizer, who's the alien, it's going to be an interesting theme that this series explores. Hal tells Waylon,
Thanks for the like.
Imagine you just want to phone home up. Get home, I bet.
Yes, sir.
Ha! That was an early test by Hal. He made a reference to E.T. the extraterrestrial, and Waylon didn't pick up on it at all.
Even I
Yeah, this
caught
whole
it,
scene
and
is
I
an
didn't
amazing
coach it.
alien Turing
No.
test. Alien Turing.
No, I caught the ET phone home when he said it. I didn't catch that was the first part of the test. Like he was already testing them right then and there. Because he should have reacted. I caught that part. Don't try to even I caught it, man.
Alan Turing, who the test was named after. The goal being how to catch an alien impersonator in a lie. I mean, this whole first episode and all of Peacemaker Season 1 were really perfect examples of DC doing a much better Secret Invasion story than Marvel's Secret Invasion. Hal catches Waylon on saying, hang my hat, like it's very practiced Nebraska expression that this alien has just learned. He quizzes Waylon on Nebraska's football history, and again, this coming from Coach Eric Taylor, it does kind of sound like someone you would be very afraid to give the wrong answer to, but Waylon is well rehearsed on this subject, saying Nebraska won its first national championship in 1970 from Coach Bob.
So, you know what I'm saying? That's how he know it was an alien. I wasn't talking about you. Oh, okay. All right, my bad. Also, if you look at him, he keeps looking down like he's trying to remember the answers or like he's reading from something in his mind of the answers.
Bob Devaney, and he asks about Nebraska's first 200-yard rusher and first Heisman winner, and Waylon's overly quick answers tells Hal that this guy just knows Nebraska football stats maybe a bit too well, like someone who just crash studied in order to blend in and make small talk in Nebraska. So now with Waylon feeling confident, Hal just quickly drops this.
Where did Harry Potter go to school?
Excuse me?
Smart, because Hal just learned from this brief exchange that Waylon had been here for 5 years, and the Harry Potter film franchise wrapped in 2011, 5 years before where they are now in 2016. So any alien blending in the past 5 years would probably consider other pop culture and sports history more relevant homework to brush up on. Also, we see you HBO plugging the huge streaming series you want us all to stay subscribed for. Hal
I didn't even catch that, but that is some gas though. Like, bro, this is the TV that I love. This is the TV that I love.
past 5 years would probably consider other pop culture and sports history more relevant homework to brush up on. Also, we see you
Excuse me?
smart crash studied in order to blend in and make small talk in Nebraska. So now with Waylon feeling confident, Hal just quickly drops this.
Where did Harry Potter go to school?
Excuse me?
Smart, because Hal just learned from this brief exchange that Waylon had been here for 5 years, and the Harry Potter film franchise wrapped in 2011, 5 years before where they are now in 2016. So any alien blending in the past 5 years would probably consider other pop culture and sports history more relevant homework to brush up on. Also, we see you HBO plugging the huge streaming series you want us all to stay subscribed for. Hal says that they made like 22 of these movies. In fact, there were only 8 Harry Potter films, with the Fantastic Beasts franchise was just beginning in 2016. But I think it's another attempt to try to catch him in a lie, because if that guy were to say, oh yeah, 22 Harry Potter movies, he'd be like, aha, there were only 8 of them. But either way, Hal is kind of making a point here that Harry Potter was the inescapable pop culture franchise of the previous decade, and any adult who had been alive before 2011 would know the answer of Hogwarts. Waylon also claims right now to just ask who Hal Jordan is, but I'm sure this alien on this planet would know who the Green Lantern is. Carrie and John meanwhile debate over whether Hal Jordan deserves to be admired. John does admire Hal's fearlessness, but Carrie reframes fearlessness as just having no one in your life that you're afraid of losing, and therefore just being alone. So really having no fear is not a virtue. It's like what Mufasa tells.
I don't like that. I don't like good evening to you and wifey. Appreciate that. I don't like that. That's not fair to say that because he doesn't have the wife and the kids and all that he doesn't care. He doesn't is that he's lonely and it's not fearlessness. I don't buy that. That sound like some woman shit right there. That's some woman logic if I've ever heard of it.
Tells Simba, even powerful kings should be afraid of losing their sons. Hal tells Waylon about other pop culture and historical things that he wouldn't know about.
But I bet you can't tell me about the Boston Tea Party, Kelly Clarkson, Barack Obama, or
Barack Obama is the president of the United States.
Hal was just about to say.
See, he threw Barack Obama in there because he probably knew that he was going to pick up on that because it's relevant to the time. Now that he's explaining it like this, that's probably why he threw that in there to say, oh, you only know about the last 5 years. And so Barack Obama got his first term was in 2009? 2008? So he's still president around this time. So that is something he should know.
Say RuPaul or RuPaul's Drag Race before he was cut off. But yeah, Hal pushes Waylon on his opinion of Barack Hussein Obama as a rural Nebraskan, particularly in the year 2016, when the 2016 election was really bringing out the worst in certain parts of America when it came to President Obama. And at this point, Waylon can no longer hide it. And I love how we see the change in his demeanor. He sits back in shadow. And even Carrie looks dumbfounded in her reaction reflecting in the glass.
Yep.
I will now call this person Waylian. And I love how John introduced the whole idea
Fire name, by the way.
of homophonic code for alien. He said Hale sounds like alien, and Waylon does kind of sound like alien. Waylian says, let's say you're right, hypothetically, that I'm not from this salty, smelly world. Smelly and salty are such fun modifiers for an alien who probably does have different olfactory senses, unaccustomed to a planet covered mostly in salt water. Waylian calls football a pointless contest that distracts the public from the deteriorating atmosphere and the hunger of the least fortunate. He says that if all this were true, he would be on Earth for a very important purpose and would go to great lengths to hide it from a galactic peacekeeping mission, for it concerns the opposite of peace, namely war. So we get an interesting picture of this guy. He is concerned about the hunger of the people of this planet, but also just feels like a very noble crusader on a very necessary warpath to enact certain vengeance that needs to be committed to fix some injustice in the galaxy. But now this Waylian leans back and says that he has a biometric neutron device woven into a skeleton that he can activate with a thought. We are now in the "you are sheltering enemies of the state, are you not?" part of the interrogation, where things are suddenly very tense and edits are faster, the guises have been dropped, and everything's about to explode. Now, are we meant to look at Waylian as a suicide bomber, or is he just kind of a kamikaze soldier? Someone who, once he got close to his target, could just activate this device and kill anything in the vicinity. Hal counters that he could bubble up and contain whatever explosion comes, but Waylian says,
You've been here 48 hours. Did you bring the
you
lantern
bring a
to
lantern?
recharge your ring?
ooh, Hal takes a moment to respond, but Kyle Chandler is amazing in the fact that he doesn't flinch. He just waits a second too long, telling us that he is shaken by what he just heard. We see later in the scene that he does
See, I knew he was shook in that scene too. Like you could tell he was shook when he said that, but that also that confirmed that he was an alien, because nigga, how the fuck you know that? Well, maybe not, because Hal Jordan did talk a lot. I mean, he was doing interviews, so maybe that came out that that's how their powers work. So who knows?
Ooh, Hal takes a moment to respond, but Kyle Chandler is amazing in the fact that he doesn't flinch. He just waits a second too long, telling us that he is shaken by what he just heard. We see later in the scene that he does have enough power to contain the blast, but hearing this tells him that this alien threat knows quite a bit about the Green Lantern Corps and how they operate. While their rings are charged by the willpower of the wearer, they do need to routinely recharge them with these lanterns that are connected to the central lantern on Oa, powered by the collective willpower of everyone in the Corps. How does this alien rogue know that? What else does he know about the Corps? Who told him all of this? When Hal says that he certainly has enough power, he's half bluffing. He hopes that he has enough willpower to contain whatever's coming. Waylian says that Hal's want to die violates his precious oath and tauntingly begins to go through it.
In brightest day and blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight.
David Lindelof said that the writers had certain non-negotiables
pussy.
for this pilot episode of a Green Lantern show, and getting the iconic oath in there was at the top of the list. They devised this way of having an alien repeating it sarcastically to both show how invasive this group is, the fact that they know it, and how seriously Hal takes his oath as the thing that triggers him. I love this shot right here.
Harry Potter went to Hogwarts, you ignorant alien fuck.
All four character spaces are perfectly lit, perfectly expressive, and in focus here. This is amazing shot composition. Waylian just straight up begins to beep like an actual bomb, and he says one thing that he's here for: vengeance. And Hal tosses him into the corner, creates a green bubble around him, and then presses his whole body over the bubble in order to push the blast back, and that bubble blows outward by, I'd say, around 400%. Indeed, this blast would have probably incinerated the entire town. It cracks all the windows in the downtown area, and we see Billy Macon come out of his law office to take a look. The final scene of this pilot episode jumps ahead 10 years to the year 2026. The snow flurry looks mysterious and beautiful. It kind of looks like the HBO series Chris Mundy just worked on before this, True Detective Night Country. John now has a goatee, and he passes the Macon Ranch, where the Study the Past gate has been destroyed. Cal hugs Carrie and asks,
oh shit, so that was the compound that we saw earlier. Wait a minute. So
The snow flurry looks mysterious and beautiful. It kind of looks like the HBO series Chris Mundy just worked on before this, True Detective Night Country. John now has a goatee, and he passes the Macon Ranch, where the Study the Past gate has been destroyed. Cal hugs Carrie and asks how Noah is. She reports he's tall and that he's now the quarterback for the Pioneers, that this kid's going all state. But in this same football stadium, they find the corpse of Hal Jordan, seated in the same spot he was sitting on the bleachers in 2016. His body seemingly frozen, sitting upward, but with a projectile wound on his forehead, wearing the same old coat. Not nearly enough outerwear for this kind of weather. John brushes the snow off of Hal's right hand to show no ring. And John does this with his own right hand, no ring there either. The song that plays over the credits is Knievel by Scud Mountain Boys. It looks like the song was written and recorded earlier this year for the Lantern series. Interesting timing because lead guitarist Bruce Tull apparently died after a brief illness on June 22nd, 2026. Yeah, just in the past couple months. So I'm guessing this is one of the last tracks that Bruce recorded. The song's lyrics reference the daredevil stuntman of Evel Knievel. The lyrics are, if I tried to leap the moon, would you ever care? And if I left the earth too soon, would you ever dare? Yeah, it's painting this grim portrait of a daredevil, kind of like Hal Jordan, who began this episode doing what? Rolling out of a car before sending it off of a cliff. A kind of Evel Knievel stunt, if you ask me. So yes, the Hal Jordan of the DCU is now dead in the year 2026. There are instances of Hal Jordan dying in the comics, specifically 1996's final night after he became Parallax during the Emerald Twilight storyline, where Hal sacrifices himself using the last of his power to destroy the Sun Eater and reignite our sun. Afterwards, Hal exists as the Spectre for a time. But with this series, Damon Lindelof, Chris Mundy, and Tom King are doing something very different. We're still going to see a lot of Hal Jordan in the 2016 era of this show. We know that from trailers, and Kyle Chandler doesn't sign on to a show if he's just going to do one episode. Right, and sure, future DCU stories could even explore Hal's past heroics before the year 2016. The way I feel about it is my era of Green Lantern was really John Stewart from the Justice League animated series, so overall I'm okay with this. I'm excited to see him in Man of Tomorrow. And the creators have said in their after show podcast with Juju that Green Lantern is about legacy, and you cannot have legacy without loss. But yes, it's a twist. This series is a True Detective murder mystery where the whole mystery is, how did one of the detectives die? Who killed Hal Jordan? What mystery in 2016 stayed unresolved until 2026? And where did the ring go? Well, to begin to answer those questions, let us now end this breakdown with No theory shall escape my sight. You can stop watching now if you don't want my theorization to accidentally spoil.
Also, if you don't want to be spoiled, I'm gonna watch it. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna watch it. So if you don't want to be spoiled, leave now.
Anything. But look, I didn't get press screeners for this series, so I have no idea what happens in episode 2 or beyond. Okay, first, let's address the possibility that this corpse might not really be Hal, but rather an alien shapeshifter, one of the 14 known species that can pass as humans without being discovered. The reason I highly doubt this is we don't know if any alien can, like Skrulls, perfectly embody another human, and if that embodiment would hold up upon death. Also, I think faking us out would rob this big plot twist of its dramatic impact. Trust me, I've been following Damon Lindelof's TV work for the past 20 years, and he had a very firm rule during Lost that he has upheld with every show he has written since, that if a character is implied to be dead, but if you don't see the body, you're welcome to not trust that, but if you see the corpse, that character is dead. Now, yes, you could say we saw resurrections like John Locke in Lost, but that was another entity taking the form of John, and we did see other characters who were dead alive once more, but that was in alternate timelines. So Hal Jordan is certainly dead. Where did the ring go? Well, in the after show, Tom King indicated that the ring has gone to Guy Gardner.
There was a hidden mystery in the middle. Like Guy Gardner was Green Lantern. Yeah. And that was a mystery. Because
like, how do we get there?
Why? How did we get there? Because at the end of this episode, Hal's dead, but also you see John's hand. He's not wearing that ring. Guy has the ring. So why does Guy end up with the ring, and where do we go after this? Because this moves us forward.
He has the best haircut. I'm just going to say that.
Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner will appear in this series, but the events of Superman take place before this, in May 2025, before Hal's death in 2026. Also, when you watch Superman, Guy's ring also looked different than this ring. And yes, the stated rule is that there can only be one ring and one Lantern person on Earth at any given time. But I do wonder if Tom King was throwing us off there, or maybe Hal has been dead for a long time and just kind of posed here. We'll find out very soon. But perhaps whoever killed Hal was a worthier being in the line of succession who did claim the ring. Maybe Hal turned bad in the past 10 years and he needed to be killed. But either way, the answer to this question is probably why the Guardians selected John Stewart, breaking the tradition of letting the ring choose. I think they knew that Hal would die in some way that would take the ring to less deserving hands. As Carrie explains, willpower and fearlessness aren't always the best virtues, and the Guardians wanted someone good-natured to be closer to Hal to claim that ring when the time came. Because in the comics, physical proximity does matter. When the ring leaves Hal, it could have gone to John or to Guy, and Guy Gardner just happens to be closer. So maybe that's what we're going to find out, that because there was some parting of ways between Hal and John, the ring just kind of zipped over to Guy Gardner by mistake. But here's really the biggest question. Why are all of these things happening every 10 years exactly? 1986, 1996.
So remember what I said when I started this breakdown. If we leave this show and Jon Stewart is not the Green Lantern, I will not be back for season 2. I don't give a shit how good this show is. Hold on. I want again. If Jon Stewart is not the Green Lantern at the end of this TV series, I will not be back for season 2. I don't give a shit how good it is. Give my nigga his powers and his suit and his ring in season 1. I do not want to go into season 2 wondering if he's going to get the ring or not. I promise you, I don't give a shit how good this series is. If he doesn't have the ring by the end of the series, get shit on James Gunn, and I hope this shit fails. Sorry. I don't hope it fails, but stop playing. Find you somebody else to play with, bro.
2006, 2016, 2026. One theory is that the repeated number 6 is a reference to Sector 666 and the massacre perpetrated there by the Manhunters. So we know the Manhunters will be part of this series from HBO promotional material.
What do you know about manhunters?
Where'd you hear that word?
I think it could explain what Walian's vengeance line was all about. So, before the Green Lantern Corps, the Guardians originally created the Manhunters, which were robotic sentinels designed to bring peace and justice to the universe. But because they could only distinguish between legal and illegal, they were unable to see right from wrong. So they ended up glitching and decided to remove all of organic life, starting with the massacre of all of the worlds in Sector 666. The Guardians had to destroy most of the Manhunters, but they never admitted to their mistake. And so one of the 5 survivors of that massacre was Atrocitus. And there are rumors that Paul Ben Victor's character, who you see in trailers for the show, named Anton, is actually Atrocitus. And he could be leading this group of aliens on their assault on Rushville to kill a manhunter who could be hiding in this town. Or maybe a manhunter programmed to return here every 10 years or something. I think it was a manhunter that Abin Sur was trying to hunt down when he crashed here in 1986. And here's my theory. I think that disguised manhunter is going to be someone we've met. And for this video, I'm going to make the case for Zoe. There are a lot of clues pointing to Zoe here. John is surprised to learn that she's a grandmother, an older generation than she seems. We know she's deceitful. Also, Will Macon said that some of the Macon family members were present at the game. He said he almost lost a couple family members during that shooting, and it probably included Noah with Grandma Zoe, because Noah aspires to be on the team. So I think it's very possible that Grandma Zoe, a secret manhunter, was actually there, and she was the one to kill all of these aliens as people were rushing the field, and they were trying to kill her. Also, in interviews before the series, the actress who plays Zoe mentioned knowing that Guardians are in the show. And if she were just a grounded Earth character as a two-timing wife in the Macon family, why would she need to know which characters she's in a scene with were Guardians? And maybe that kind of explains why Sheriff Carey feels so bound to the family, is that the son that she has, Noah, is part of this bloodline of bioorganic beings called Manhunters. And so she feels this kind of need to keep her son protected and serve this family that she doesn't really like. Now the question would be, would Will Macon know what his wife is? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe Will Macon and this group of militia and the people who are backing him are totally okay with manhunters if it means killing off all other invasive alien species. Bringing us to our final question of what organization does Will Macon represent? It's gotta be Luthor Corp, right? I'm not sure if it's Lex, because in Superman, it was implied that Superman started doing his heroics just 3 years before that movie started. So that would be 2022, 6 years after where we are now in 2016. Now, Lex could still be around, but I think it might actually be his father, Lionel Luthor, because James Gunn stated that he called the corporation Luthor Corp in the 2025 movie as a nod to Smallville, and how this company really could be a legacy company with leadership in an earlier generation, and that would be Lionel. Again, I don't know how accurate any of these theories are. I have not seen episode 2. I have no idea where this show is going. Comment down below with your thoughts on this first episode, and a special thanks to one of our In Our Underground subscribers, Justin Schoenrock.
Again, that was New Rock Stars. Go check out the channel. They break down everything, give you insight on on the TV shows. So that will end this episode, and it's also going to end the stream. I just wanted to come and make this review on stream just in case I never make it into a video because I'm bad at my job. So it's here. And yeah, it's already 10 o'clock. I'm gonna get some rest, and I'll either be back tomorrow or the day after with some Tokan. But yeah, thank you for everybody that's watching, that will watch. And why did it auto stop? I'm glad whatever it's doing now, I'm glad I'm finna get off. But again, thank you for everybody for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.